gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
The gentleman's correct. The Intelligence Committee does oppose this bill, this amendment. But we oppose this because there was a working group that was put together by the Speaker. It had 2 representatives of the Judiciary, 2 representatives of the Intelligence Committee, 2 representatives appointed by the leadership, and a chair, Mario Diaz-Balart. Every person in that working group opposed this amendment. Now, the underlying bill already includes a provision of a requirement that the FISA court now create transcripts and that those transcripts be transmitted to the congressional committees of jurisdiction, which include Judiciary Intelligence. We'll already know what's happening. The difference is whether or not you pull up a seat and you eat popcorn while you're watching the court. But I want to go back to the Biggs Amendment here for a second, because the Biggs Jayapal Amendment is really what's dominating this whole debate. And this amendment, if you just read the front page of it, clearly says that it is about the intelligence that's gathered from foreigners abroad. This is not about Americans' data. America's data are safe, constitutionally protected. They're inbox and outbox. No amendment on this floor can change the Constitution. No statute on this floor can change the Constitution. The statute that we're talking about is 702, which is spying on foreigners abroad. Now, everybody in this House is pissed at the FBI and is pissed about the abuses that have occurred. Punish the FBI. Pass this underlying bill. Do not pass the Biggs Amendment and cause us to go blind and make America less safe. I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Pretty much the entirety of the debate that has been had down here has been focused on the warrant requirement, right? The reason that we've got this particular amendment here before us right now is simply to just be able to have more reporting and more understanding of what's happening in the FISC. But there is always constant resistance by the intelligence community to looking under the hood, because it is always the case that they want to use the fear. Perhaps it is a universal truth that the loss of liberty at home is to be charged against danger, real or pretended, from abroad. James Madison to Thomas Jefferson, May 13th, 1798. The fact is, the founders knew precisely what would occur. That the government, in the quest to have power in the name of stopping foreign adversaries, that in the name of fear, would use that power against our own citizens. That's what's occurring. That's what's happening. And we have before us real and obvious abuses, 278,000 of those abuses going after the American people. And our response is a bunch of technical stuff that chases the actual core problem. Our friends don't want to get into peeling back the hood of what's happening in the intel community, because our friends are the intel community. I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
In conclusion, as we look at this debate and this bill, which is about spying on foreigners abroad, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Chinese Communist Party, giving them constitutional protections is unprecedented. There's no court that has ever done it. There's been no bill that has passed this House that gives constitutional protections to foreigners abroad. Americans' constitutional rights are preserved in the Constitution. This amendment undermines our security by giving Americans constitutional rights here in the United States to foreign adversaries. Vote no on the Biggs Amendment. Vote no on this amendment.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
To be clear, this amendment is about reporting requirements. But on the point of the warrant, after the rampant abuses by the federal government, it is clear that we should have a warrant requirement under 702 to protect Americans from the querying of incidental communication collected en masse under a broad grant of power to target foreign entities. That's the truth. This is the FBI that targeted Catholics, put pro-life progressive activists in jail, and targeted President Trump. The proponents give up the game, saying openly the need to target U.S. persons right here on the floor. The only thing that makes this warrantless collection of millions of Americans' international communications lawful, quote unquote, is the government's certification that it is targeting foreigners and only foreigners. If the government changes its mind and wants to go after an American, it should have to go back and get the warrant that it skipped on the front end. This is not that hard. By the way, the argument that we would need 2,000 judges to filter through warrant requirements begs the question, which is it? The proponents' own data indicate they will only get a hit for 1% to 2% via metadata. Some of those will have exceptions under our warrant amendment that we offer, so it'd probably be less than 1%. So the 2,000 judges argument is just straight up false. It's just not that hard. If you want to go after an American, if you want to look at their information, get a warrant.